Why, hello there, Nice Dare here. Today I'm bringing you a summary of a knife I've done a full review on. The full review will be linked down in the description, but more importantly than any of that, I hope you're having a good day. This is the Crescent Edges Celestial Meteor variant. The variant is in deep etched polished damasteel and crystal titanium. This is one of the fanciest, most expensive variants of this knife. As I said, I've already done the full review. That has the specs and is going to be much longer and also has a lot of details. But this, being summary, is going to be much, much shorter and kept much, much cleaner. First of all, I went over all my reasonings and went into detail as to why, but I'm not keeping this knife. I'm not in love with this one. That said, it's a good knife. I don't think there's anything too fundamentally wrong with it. I think it needs a better sharpening tool and plunge grind, and it needs a rethought out front flipper. But beyond that, there is nothing fundamentally wrong with this knife. It is a good knife. It's just not for me. The angles, the edge, the way the edge in relation to, well, the spine and the handle, it sort of cants up here, and just some of the angles and shapes here and the way they all flow together and what I kind of was expecting and picturing. Also, the logo being on the edge bevel. There's just a number of things that have added up to me not being in love with this knife, and therefore I'm going to try to rehome this thing. They are sold out. There were only 20 of them. It is, here we go. It is 2 out of 20, and these things, this Crescent Edges says they don't do knives a second time. One run and done. So there are 20 of these. There are only going to be 20 of this variant, and they're gone. They're sold out. So hopefully someone will want it and will love it more than I. That's what the objective is, to get it in the hands of someone who loves it and try to get my money back so I can reinvest it in other knives for the channel. That's kind of what I do. So, let's just quick talk about this knife. Nice, simple, nice, clean, right? It is a, let's call that a dropping clip point compound ground tanto. An Americanized tanto, yeah, that's kind of what it is. With an almost spear point sort of, yeah, it's kind of spear point. It's pretty much in line with the center point of the handle. Spear point blade. That does all that other stuff. You have a front flipper, which I already said isn't great, mostly because of all this up here. Not really usable. It's pretty aggressive, and the way it can't set back like this, it basically, if you push into it, it's just going to tear your finger open. In fact, geez, that was fast. You have to use, it's basically just, they went to the lengths of jimping it all the way around, which normally is something commendable, but it's not usable up there. You're basically stuck down here. It's also a relatively tall front flipper, which makes it a little trickier than some. Not tricky, like I have no problem with it, but for someone who already struggles with front flippers, that could be a little bit more of a death knell, right? It is also not super high in relation to the pivot. Honestly, I think I said this, and I know I said this in the review. They could have just sort of cut from here back and lowered the front flipper by cutting out, you know, this much steel and lowering the front flipper down to here, and brought it closer and allowed us to get not only a tighter, shorter height, but a little bit more leverage by fixing up there, and that would probably fix all of the problems. It would just work just fine. I mean, you could say, oh, but then you won't get access to the jimping in the spine and everything like that. And yeah, no, this jimping is completely worthless. Down here, underneath in the choil, up here on the spine, yeah, it does nothing. Doesn't do anything. Not in the slightest. So, yeah, it wouldn't have mattered if they cut that back down a little bit. Like, basically, they could have taken it from here back and just cut it down, and you wouldn't have seen it. It would have hid completely inside the handle, and it would have allowed for them to make a better front flipper. They could have done that. It could be done in, like, a V2 if this thing ever is. If they do decide, like, to do another version or, like, an updated version of this knife. I don't know if that's on the table or off the table for this one-and-done model, but it is what it is. You also have this, which is basically the primary method, is kind of a stepped fuller kind of thing going on here. It steps down as it goes up, so you're not actually interacting with the steps as what you're, you know, getting your nail to grip on for the flick. They just sort of funnel you into the top here, and you flick. It's fine. It's a good flick. It's, I mean, it's not the strongest flick ever. It's not a light flick. It's not coming out or anything like that. But whenever you put a front flipper on there, you can't go too heavy on the detent. So it's satisfying. It's reasonable. It's all right. However, it does not work at all for the thumb flick. In fact, I can't thumb flick this knife unless I go all the way down here and throw it out there. Which, I mean, I don't think I need to explain why that's not necessarily ideal. You can thumb flick, but it's not ideal. This is a reverse flicking knife, primarily. I already mentioned the jimping down there. Not great. I also already mentioned the logo that I hate being there. I like the logo. The logo would be fine on this knife. Just somewhere else. Just a personal thing. The plunge and sharpening choil, or no, the plunge, I guess, the sharpening choil is fine. The stop pin is attached, so you can cut in whatever you want as far as sharpening choil goes, but the plunge actually basically hits the edge, which is truly unfortunate, especially for a knife at this price point. Some of these things should be thought out. But, whatever. The handle is crystal tie, which is very attractive. It has got some milling on there. It's also got some micro milling down there. I'm not in love with the milling. That was one of the things I didn't like about it, but it's good milling. It looks good. It's fine. It's just, for some reason, I'm not in love with it on this model. Don't know why. Backspacer wrapped pretty far around. You got a titanium milled pocket clip. It is a frame lock. There is a lock bar insert, of course. It is on bearings, and it is, I believe it's made by Ria, and yeah, it feels it. It's ultra smooth, and it's just shake shot, which is pretty standard for Ria Star, sort of the way they do things. It's a little tighter in the pivot. It's not complete guillotine, but it's super smooth. It is centered. There is no play. Yeah. The clip's fine. Relatively deep carry. It's a bit tight. I would give it that. They did have to do one weird thing, though, and this could have messed up the clip. It would have messed up the clip a lot more if they weren't smart enough to put the lock bar cutout on the inside. Fortunately, they did, because otherwise, basically, there's a meteor ridge that runs along this knife. Instead of contouring, that's what you got. You got sort of the triangle, two angles rising up to meet each other for that ridge. Basically, the clip rides the ridge. And because it rides the ridge, and they wanted the clip to, sit this way flat, they had to cut out. I don't know if you can see it. Let's see if I can get that. Can you see how you got that little notch right there? See it? Right there? They had to cut out a channel for the clip to sit flat against. Which, like I said, if they had put this on the outside, those two notches would definitely have caused issues getting in and out of the pocket. This way, thick super pants, you might get a little bit of bunching up, but, I mean, it's usually just not ideal to put anything like edges around the clip. Is it a big deal? No. Is it a problem? No. It's fine. One thing I don't particularly like, but is worth noting, is how the edge actually goes this way. It actually raises up. These are not parallel lines. I thought they were, and that's one of the things that bugs me about it. If you actually look at it, here, I'll use the lines on this down here. That's straight. And you see how the actual blade handle is canted up, whereas if I put this straight, it is not canted up. The edge actually rises and kind of goes away from your cut angle. You can kind of see it here. See how it's not trapping material? When it leans into the cut like this, it traps material here because it can't go over this hump. This one sort of has it away from that. I don't like that. Is it the biggest problem? No, if you're gonna, it's not canted enough that you're getting really good, use on a flat surface or anything like that, like you would for, a chef knife or something like that. But I like it when it cants into the other direction. Or, personally, I wanted, based on what I thought I saw in the pictures, I wanted it perpendicular. I wanted this to really sort of just say, sword or dagger blade kind of thing coming out of there. Which, funny enough, with just a slight little cutaway into part of the backspacer, I think they could have actually made this edge be completely perpendicular, which, honestly, if they had changed that, this knife might not be going anywhere. But as it is, it's not sticking around. It's also got a little bit of a big tail on the back end. It's not a problem. Nothing's a problem. Like I said, it's a good knife. It's a recommendable knife. There may be some of the plain ones still around. If you love it, if the design speaks to you, yeah, I don't think you're going to have too many issues with it, but it's not for me, so this one's not going to be sticking around. However, I don't think it's a bad design or a bad knife. So I think that covers everything that I wanted to talk about in the summary. Pretty much in its entirety. It's got milling out for weight reduction. It's not super heavy. It's a pretty standard full-size knife. A little over 3.5 inches of blade. 8 1/4-ish overall. So, yeah. There's a lot to love here. There's some things that maybe you like them, maybe you don't, maybe they bother you. Some of them bother me. And there's just basically 2 things that I think really objectively could be improved. So, overall, it's a good one, but this is probably going to be one of the last, if not the last time you see it on this channel. So, thank you for watching. Consider liking and subscribing if you would kindly do so. I'd appreciate it. I'm not saying you have to, but consider it. I appreciate you considering it. And I will see you guys in the next one, hopefully. Thanks, and see you later.